Hey guys, thank you for listening to that 20's show with me, Keanu Azman. And today is very special because the guest on my show is the very first international guest. She is half Thai, half Belgian. She is a huge Swiftie. So to all of you Taylor Swift fans out there, she can be your best friend because back in school, she was so inspired by Taylor Swift's love songs that she started writing music. In 2013, she joined The Voice Thailand, and then she started acting in movies, in TV shows, and now she's got a whole album called Glitter and Smoke. I'm talking about this beautiful, gorgeous singer-songwriter / actress, Violette Wautier.
Hi. Wow. Thank you so much for all the words. Like how you put all my names like with Swiftie, singer, songwriter, gorgeous, and everything. Well, thank you so much for that kind word. It's really flattering.
I had to go through a whole biography about Violette Wautier, like, okay, what happened this year? What happened that year? The whole chronology about your life, I can make it into a book. That's just how much I've been researching about you because I'm so intrigued to see your success and how much you progressed over the years. So before we talk about your music, because this podcast, we're going to dive deep into more of personal life, personal struggles behind the camera.
Sure.
Behind the music. You are currently 26, turning 27, or 25, turning 26?
26, turning 27.
When you're past that mid-20s, it can get very confusing as well because people always say the first half of your 20s is tough. You don't understand a lot of things. There's all these career worries and what do I want to do with my life? Am I doing my relationships correctly, my friendships correctly? And then when you're 26, 27, you're like, I feel better, but at the same time, I'm not even 30 yet, so it's still very confusing. So how about you, Violette?
I've never heard anyone said in like the right term as much as you said before. It really is confusing. It's when you're in the beginning of 20s, you still feel like, oh, you're young and you're allowed to make mistakes. You're still in university, and once you finish university, you're a first jobber, so you're allowed to make mistakes. But once you got into like the mid-20s, 25, you're not new to the 20 anymore. But you're still like, what should I do? Like, I'm not really young anymore, but also I'm not that much of an adult. So you're just in the betweens and you're not sure of what is happening in your life. And I think there's gonna be a lot of reflecting on yourself on like, what should I keep, like the quality that you have, what should I keep and what should I let go? Like
Yes.
That in the 20s.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think one of the best things I've heard about being in our 20s or perhaps adulting is that we got to learn new things and unlearn certain things that we've adapted since we were a kid. Because some things we grew up with and we thought, okay, this is the way of life. And then suddenly you change your perspective on things. You go through all these dramas in life that teach you a lot of lessons. What is like a really huge lesson that you've learned in your 20s so far?
What I'm learning right now is learning how to let go. But I really don't know how. Not like as a love life or anything like that, but let go of some stuff and accept it the way it is. Like like people, like there's gonna be people that you're gonna kind of lose them a long time when you grew up and you grew apart and you can't really accept the fact that you're growing apart and you're like, but I don't understand. Like at that point, I'm at that point right now, like I still trying to understand this process.
Violette, I feel like we are interconnected right now because I feel the exact same way about certain people in my life too. It's crazy, right? Because, we hear all these stories when we were younger, like, okay, as you age, people drift apart, your friends that were in your childhood might not even be your friends later. And I'm like, maybe that's just for you. Maybe I'll be fine. But I think once you reach this age, everyone goes through it, right?
Yeah, and you don't really spend as much time as you used to with them anymore, and you long for that, and you kind of feel kind of lonely a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like longing for something that's actually gone. And like you said earlier, it's about accepting that it's maybe compared to when we were younger, we were like, you know what, I'm going to confront this person and let's just have let's end this friendship. But I think as we age, sometimes goodbyes are really unsaid.
Like when you were younger, you don't really care about a lot of things. You just like, going straight, like looking forward and doesn't look anywhere around yourself. But once you
Yes.
grow older, you would start looking around and you care things so much more. So that's why that's not going to be there anymore. It's like kind of harder because you can't really go back to who you were before. What I had
Yeah.
just experienced is like I I realized that through the whole year I was comparing myself to my old self. And
Okay.
it's actually really unhealthy because you said it, don't compare yourself to anybody. It's, you are you, but you forget sometimes you compare yourself to yourself and you be like, thinking too much right now. I used to be so careless and carefree.
I
Why
love
am I
that.
so concerning a lot of stuff? So now I realize, oh, you're actually looking back to yourself and trying to go back and
To go
moving
back
backwards
there.
to that old self. Yeah, and you can only move forward. You can see what has happened, like reflect, and then focus on the future of how you will become the person you want to be, but not trying to go back to the old person.
Oh my
That is
goodness,
what
Violette,
I
I
just
really love that.
realized.
I love
Yeah.
that. I do think that that's something probably I've been going through as well, or a lot of people out there are going through, because it's really that inner battle inside of us. People, we
Yeah.
always look on the outside, like, how do I repair something with this person, or like with my job, let's
Uh-huh.
say, just for example. But we fail to look inwards when it's really sometimes an internal conflict, like you said, like longing for that old version of yourself that shouldn't even be there anymore. So I guess that's just a natural
Yeah. Like
life
sometimes you say
process.
like you don't know who you are anymore. Sorry?
Yeah, yes, it's the connection again. I'm so sorry about that. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I do think it's really that battle of wanting to go back when honestly there's no way of going back. Like you said, the only way is forward.
So I was just saying like, okay, like sometimes when like you realize like you're not the person you wanted to be, like there are some quality that you forget about yourself and you're like, who am I anymore? Like I don't know, I'm not sure of that anymore. So that's old self, and instead of figuring out in the future instead of going back. Mhm.
And what are the kind of things that you changed that you never thought you'd become now? And now you're like, oh crap, like 10 years ago, I wouldn't expect myself to be this sensitive or this temperamental. Well, what is it like for you that has changed?
Before I used to be the person who's like using emotions for everything. You don't really think of a reason. You just use your feelings, and it's almost like it should be this way. It's kind of like you're a little world, and the world kind of revolve around you in a way, even though you're caring for others, like the
Mm-hmm,
other people around you.
mm-hmm,
But right now more is the society that you're like responsible for your words, for your actions, and
mm-hmm,
a lot more than you used to. Before that, you only care about your peers, and if you happen to have problem with anybody else, you'll be like, they're not in my life, I don't care. But right now you actually kind of care, but you don't at the same time, like
mm-hmm.
know how to care, and like there are boundaries where you should not cross and where they should not cross you either, and you need to respect that.